Good morning, all my fellow free-thinking, free-speaking, freedom-loving patriots. Let's take a look at this editorial from ABC News. I question that it's a news piece, although it's on ABC's front page, because there's very little news here. Look at the headline. Anti-Semitism surged across U.S. during Gaza conflict. Part of multi-year rise, advocates. In the subheadline, anti-Semitic incidents more than doubled during the Hamas conflict. Funny thing about the Hamas conflict, I believe Uncle Joe is at least partially responsible for this conflict because he versed President Trump's foreign policy about not helping terrorists, about not funding terrorists. He told Hamas they weren't going to get one damn dime until they proved they had given up their terrorist acts. What does Uncle Joe do? He sends them money. And then, during the conflict, he actually promises them even more money to rebuild when it ends. It is certainly not the Republicans that are anti-Semitic. Bernie, a Jew, has come out in favor of Hamas, while President Trump, he completed a promise made by former presidents Clinton, Bush, and Obama. They all promised to move the U.S. Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. President Trump finally completed that long overdue promise. Also, he has a Jewish son-in-law that he is very proud of. Top-name Republicans are not anti-Semitic, but top-name Democrats surely are. Let's get on a little bit with this story. Joseph Borgen, a 29-year-old accountant in New York City, was on his way to a protest after work when he was jumped near Times Square. The attackers punched, kicked, pepper sprayed him, and beat him with crutches, the New York Police Department said, leaving him with a concussion and bruising. And in that picture right there to the bottom left is a picture of Mr. Borgen being beat up by these thugs. But these aren't just any random thugs. You see, this anti-Jewish sentiment, like I said, it's not coming from the Republican side of the House. It's coming from the Democratic side of the House, the far left wing. You know, the Gang of Four, which includes AOC and Rashad Tlaib. Yeah, that bunch. Let's see this story from a slightly different angle. Still far left, mind you. CBS New York. Joseph Borgen, brutally beaten by group of suspects in Manhattan's Diamond District, speaks out. My whole face felt like it was on fire for hours. And again, in the bottom left, we see, by all appearances, a follower of the great pedophile. A Jewish man was attacked Thursday in the Diamond District as pro-Israel and pro-Palestine protesters clashed in Times Square. They were macing me for like a minute straight, he said. Kicked me, punched me, beat me with crutches, hit me with flags. Borgen was alone and he was on his way to attend a pro-Israel rally at 47th and 7th. The same one, he says, he attended last week. However, these followers of the great pedophile had a more sinister plan in mind for poor Mr. Borgen. Here, the New York Police Department states, the Hate Crime Task Force is investigating a gang assault of a Jewish man in Times Square that happened this evening, and it tells you to call the number if you have more information. Now, take a look at this update. 23-year-old Wasim Awada was arrested for using a crutch to assault a man in front of 1604 Broadway. He's been charged with hate crime assault, 2 gang assault, 2 menacing, and 2 criminal possession of a weapon. This is yet just another instance of when the legacy media refuses to identify where the problem is. You really can't solve it. These crimes against Jewish, these crimes against Hispanic, these crimes against Asian people are mostly being conducted by Black and Islamic people. The legacy media is very fond of pointing out every time a white person conducts a crime, but they never like to identify the race or religion of a person if it's a POS or POC.